Low libido is a bullshit term. I think it's pathologizing disillusion. I can literally hear somebody coming and tell you what kind of orgasm they're having.
Where do you experience the most resistance on a personal level?
For women, we have this arousal ladder that starts with big rungs that take a bit of heft to get up. For men, their rungs are much easier to walk up. They tend to get turned on and be turned on more quickly and more easily.
If you were diagnosing low libido, through what lens would you be looking at it through?
I think what I like to teach people how to do is transform having sex. Pump away, ejaculate, you're done, that's sex. We can make babies. We got a lot of 5-month-olds running around here, but we do not have a lot of people begging their partner for hot sex because it's so freaking good. Think about libido, desire, and arousal as a Venn diagram. 3 intersecting circles with you in the middle.
There are a few elements that make up a good one, but for you, between number 1 and number 1,000, what would have been the kind of key lessons and learnings?
So what I've found is that
it is excellent to have you here. You caught my attention off the back of a podcast you did with Stephen Bartlett, I reckon it was.
Oh yeah, Diary of a CEO. Yeah,
yes.
He's a great guy. That was fun.
And I was listening to it with my partner, and I remember you going through the different types of orgasms from a noise point of view, and I was like, this chick sounds like good fun. I really need to get on the podcast. And here we are.
And I wasn't even really playing it full out. I didn't want to scare anybody about, how great coming can really sound.
Yeah.
And it's so funny too, because I kind of feel like I am a wine connoisseur. I have to admit, I've got a hell of a nose, and I've been drinking good wine since my 20s, since a sugar daddy boyfriend introduced me to Bordeaux, and I was like, bitch, what? And that was so funny. And I can literally hear somebody coming and tell you what kind of orgasm they're having, because you come in different ways. Like, you can tell the difference between an anal-gasm and a nipple-gasm. It's not that hard.
This is excellent. Do you know what?
You started it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We haven't even officially started, but we have now. I have a daughter. She's 5 months old. And pre her birth, there were a whole bunch of people telling me that she has a different cry for sleep, for feed. And I was like, a cry is a cry. I now know what they're talking about with the different cries. And I am heavily interested and invested in the different types of orgasm now that you put me onto that one.
Mm-hmm. You might be auditory in your theta state. There's this, one of the things one of my mentors taught me is that all humans fall. This is the work of Dr. Donna Markova. She was a Harvard-trained psychologist, maybe psychiatrist. And she wrote a book called The Open Mind System. And in that system, she did this research, and she did it on an American population, but she felt that it was just basically a human predilection for, the different brainwave states. Like if you listen to an app that calms your brain down or what have you, you're moving from beta into theta state. Theta is the state of meditation. It's the state of orgasm. It's the state of deep relaxation. That's why it's hard to come when you're stressed out. And what she found was that people in their conscious, subconscious, and unconscious minds have different ways they process things. And they break out into a pretty good distribution, where for people who are basically there's kinesthetic, auditory, and visual. And so a visual person wants you to show them a picture or show them what to do. An auditory person wants you to tell them what to do. And a kinesthetic person wants to do it themselves and figure it out. And in our theta brainwave state, which is our unconscious state of mind, also our orgasmic state of mind, we kind of filter into those 3: visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. My husband is auditory in his theta brainwave state. So when we make love, sometimes I do a thing he loves, which is I tell him a really dirty story while I'm making love to him. And like I'm kind of
Mm,
running the game and I'm on top of him and I'm telling him this dirty, dirty story. And at the end, afterward, he'll be like, I don't know what it was about. I remember cheerleaders, a lot of them. I don't know, but it was fantastic. Like he doesn't even remember it. So I can say
mm,
anything to him. Where for me, that would take me out of my turn on. I mean, sometimes I like
mm.
some dirty talk or I like some adoration or some encouragement or some noticing what's going on or what have you. I do like that. But generally, I like the kinesthetic. I'm kinesthetic in my theta state. And that means I'm deep into sensation. Like I love to wear a blindfold and
Yes.
feel what I'm feeling. And you could be auditory in your theta state, which is why that the sounds of orgasm, the that whole
Mm.
thing like really turns you on. It's just a thought, but I always thought it was an interesting a lens through which we could learn more about our lovers to make it even better for them.
I'll tell you what, I could finish this podcast now 5 minutes in, I'd be pretty happy. I've never considered my fetus, like I've known about those states, but I haven't
Yeah.
joined the dots and then taken it a step. That is excellent. I really enjoy hearing other people have sex, whereas my partner doesn't
Oh,
love it as much. I think you're onto something.
right. Yeah, I think so too. Uh-huh. My husband likes those kind of EDM with the women moaning and coming in the background.
Yeah.
Have you heard those?
No,
Yeah,
but
he really likes those.
yeah, I'm onto that
Well,
next as well.
you gotta get that. Screw the 437 hertz bullshit. Let's get some women moaning in the back of some EDM, man. Right? Like I think we found your new genre, baby.
Oh my God. I don't know how I'm going to get work
Lucky.
done by listening to that in the background, but I'm going to try it. I'm going to try for sure.
It might be quite calming for you because it's going to put you in
Hopefully.
your theta.
Hopefully. I'm really impressed already. I've got a question for you, and I'm fascinated to know where you stand with this. Where are you at this stage of your life still not free from a sexual intimacy point of view? Or where do you experience the most resistance on a personal level?
For me, it's always getting going.
Mm,
And I've just learned that I am, one of the things I loved was Dr. Beverly Sasson. She came up with this notion of the spontaneous versus responsive desire
yeah.
orientation.
Mm,
And I really felt that that was so helpful for me because it's very unusual for me to be spontaneously horny and run, chasing my partner around and asking for sex. I am always glad when I have it, but I'm a heavy lift. But my partner knows I am too. I think about the arousal ladder. And for men and women, it's generally because we're all on a bell curve. There's some women who have a more common type of like, horny, ready to go at all times, want to have sex morning, noon, and night. But there's more that's more often a male orientation. And for women, we have this arousal ladder that starts with big rungs that take a bit of heft to get up. My husband has to go underneath my ass and push me up the first ring, the first rung, where once I get going, then the rungs are easier and I'm climbing it myself. And then I'm on an escalator and then I'm on an express elevator and then I'm super turned on and I'm fine.
mm,
Where for men, their rungs are much easier to walk up. They tend to get turned on and be turned on more quickly and more easily. That's just, kind of the bell curve, the big bell curve. So what I've found is that as long as I know that once we get started, I'll be good. The other day, I made some homemade pancakes with fresh peaches in them. And I scarfed them up and I ate them too fast. I usually don't eat a lot of gluten. These were gluten-free pancakes. I usually don't eat a lot of gluten. And it kind of gave me a gut bomb. But I wanted to make love with my partner because I was taking off and this was kind of our window. And I was like, can you rub my belly with some pain cream? And can I tell you like 200 amazing things about how incredible you are? Because my partner really likes verbal appreciation.
mm.
And he was like, yeah, that sounds great. And so he just rubbed my belly and I metabolized those peach pancakes and
And then you were good to
told
go.
him how gorgeous he was and how handsome he was and how much I love to have sex with him and how tasty he is and how brilliant he is. And I gave him a lot of specific examples too. Like I really
Mm.
put a point on everything. And I took my time with it. And then I said, can you put some oil on your palms and can you cup my yoni? Can you just put your hands on me and can you pet me like I'm a kitty from the top to the bottom, not against the fur? I don't have a lot of fur, but I have little. And he did that, and I stroked him. And then I slowly started to feel better and get turned on. And pretty soon we were like doing three different positions and having a good time and doing all the things we normally do. And well, we don't, I have to say, we don't normally do anything. We do something different almost every time, which is what I like,
Mm.
listening to my body and what she's asking for in the moment. And that has been very helpful for me to realize that I'm a slow arouser, that it takes me time to get out of my head and into my body, to settle, to let my guard down, to let my tears run, my spit run, my juices lubricate, to, get dropped in and heart connected and turned on. And every once in a while, I'll be like, boy, it's taken me a long time. And I'll be like, girl, just take your time. There's no rush. But it's taken me 64 years to get there.
Mm.
So I had a lot of guilt for a long time, and women do, that there's something wrong with us, that we don't have a libido, that our desire is broken. And I honestly don't think it is. I just think that's mostly how we're wired because we grow up in religious repression, cultural shame, lack of any visible medium of any kind that shows the female desire arousal ladder. It's always paced to the man. And so we women think there's something wrong with us. And I don't think there is. I think I'm like really, really middle of the road normal.
Mm. Would you say it's a general rule of thumb that women would be more responsive and men more spontaneous? And do you have research on it?
Yeah, that's what Beverly Sassen's research is that women are generally responsive. We need you to help us get out of our head into our body. That's
Mm.
masculine sexual leadership.
Mm.
And what women teach, the beautiful women coming up under me in the world of sex education and sex coaching, they're teaching embodiment. They're teaching women how to get out of their heads and into their bodies and to feel good and to self pleasure and to, open and expand into their orgasmic potential. And male sexual leadership is a part of supporting that process.
Mm. I would assume that what happens between intimate moments would heavily impact how responsive you are in terms of timeframes, would it not? And I would say, watching you from afar, you would cultivate a lifestyle that brings that responsive nature to the forefront more so than the average person, would be my guess. Am I right?
I schedule sex.
Yeah.
I know when my windows are. I'm busy. I run two companies. I speak
Mm.
from stage all over the world. I do 100 podcasts a year. I write 3 newsletters. I'm
Mm.
developing products. I have to find my windows of opportunity. And before we started, and you said, is there anything you really want to make sure we talk about? And I said, yeah, the fourth factor for longevity, which is, we really focus a lot on sleep optimization, on health as far as nutrition and eating well and, managing our macros or whatever we're doing and getting our fats and good fats and low carbs and all the things we do. And we think a lot about our workouts, our high intensity interval, our cardio, our weight, strength training, flexibility, balance, But what are we thinking about with regard to our sexuality? Are we thinking, okay, I've got 20 kind of orgasms I can have. I know lots and lots of sex positions. I'm really good at kissing. I'm fabulous at full body touch. I'm very good at giving and receiving orgasmic oral. I'm super good at highly orgasmic penetrative pleasuring. I'm really good at dirty talk. I'm words of adoration. I've got all these skills. Because the health benefits of sex are so incredible. Immune function, nervous system regulation, oxygenation of the brain, neuroplasticity, release of NK cells, which are the things that eat up the broken and dead and senescent, the zombie cells and the cancer cells. The list just goes on and on and on and on and on about the benefits of sex. And I think if we didn't grow up in these kind of cultural, sexually repressed cultures, we would be talking a lot. We'd be quantifying our sex more. How many times we had it, how many orgasms we had, what kinds we had, how long we came, how hard we came, whatever it might be. I don't even know what the quantification of sex would look like, but we quantify everything. Why wouldn't we get to that in some way, sometime in the future as well? Blood flow. What's our Doppler look like in the penile, tissue? I mean, I don't know. I don't know what we can measure, but it's an interesting thought experiment. So yeah, I think that is probably the most important key takeaway, is that I am looking for opportunities to have sex, and I'm always open to seeing what my body wants in the moment. And my partner, he's so funny because he'll say, do you have any new toys you want to try? Any new things you want to try? What's on the list? He's always up for anything. He's my, he just wants to see he likes to do new things. And I think that's an important aspect of sexuality too, is really having an appetite for trying new things, the variety and the novelty that makes sex fun. And assuming you're not very good in bed and you don't know jack and you got a ton to learn and it's a lifelong pursuit, that's a good mindset. That's a good mindset for sex right there. Not I got this, I know what I'm doing. Please, come on.
I always get a little bit interested in those that rate themselves when it comes to sex. I think I'm horrible, but I'm open to learning from my partner.
Yeah.
We actually have a night, I've created an ebook about it called Explore Night, to your point. Once a week, we call it Explore Night, where to your point, we explore something different, and we alternate weeks between who organises the Explore Night. 4.5 years in, a little 5-month-old, kind of hard when she sleeps with us. We go to a spare room, but it's such a, to your point, it's interesting. I've had a lot of conversations with people around structure versus spontaneity, and a lot of our friends know that we have a lot of structure. They know that we have, a specific night for Explore Night, and they don't love the idea of structure, but they also find themselves not having it if they don't have the structure. So it is, I can only assume as an expert, somewhat of a dance between the structure and the spontaneity. Do you find that?
I have the structure around when, but I have the spontaneity around what?
God bless. That's the answer. That's the answer I was looking for. Perfect. When it comes to low libido, where does someone start with this? And if you were looking at through the lens of, say, physical, looking after yourself, energetic, mental, emotional, spiritual, how do you, if you were diagnosing low libido, through what lens would you be looking at it through?
Yeah.
First,
I think low libido is a bullshit term. I think it's pathologizing disillusion.
Continue,
right?
please.
I mean, think about libido, desire, and arousal as a Venn diagram, 3 intersecting circles with you in the middle. Your libido is your health. It's the other side of the same coin. If you don't feel well, you are not going to be horny. Horny is libido. Horny is, I got an itch I want to scratch. That's libido. Desire is, how do I feel about myself? That's more the emotional body. Am I always saying, oh, I'm fat, I'm ugly? How are you feeling? Do you feel desirable? And do you desire your partner? Is your partner pissing you off? Are you having fights about stuff? Like, if you got issues, you got to fix that. Are they not treating you the way you need to be treated in the relationship outside the bedroom? Right. So that's desire. And then arousal is what we talked about earlier, which is that the male body is testosterone dominant. It has super fast acting hemodynamics. You guys get boners in record time. You have if I took all the erectile tissue out of your penis, it would be twice as big as what your penis looks like fully erect, Think about how big your penis is fully erect and then
Mm.
double the volume. That's pretty much how much erectile tissue is in your genital structures. That's
Jesus.
exactly how much erectile tissue is in my genital structures, or your wife's, or any other woman's, any other female bodied, vulva owning, estrogen dominant Homo sapien. And what's interesting about that is that ours is all in these little nooks and crannies. There's a
Mm.
little shaft, there's little arms, there's some little legs, there's a little spongy tube, there's a little spongy cushion, there's all these little funky things, and they take longer to fill with blood. The blood has to seep into them slowly and take those sponges and make them full of blood so that the surface area of all the sponges is bigger because it's
Mm.
now filled with blood. You know how it doesn't feel as good when you stroke your penis and it's flaccid versus erect? It's the same with women, but people just don't know that we have this erectile tissue and that it takes about 20 minutes to get the blood flowing in there. So libido could be, maybe your nitric oxide stores are low because you never eat any vegetables. Like, I talk to 20-year-olds with ED all the time, and I'm like, do you ever eat any green things? And they're like, no, man, I don't eat any green things. And I'm like, eat some freaking green things, dude. That's literally what makes your dick hard. They're like, no shit. So that's
Oh, I didn't know that either.
interesting. I know veggies, they make nitric oxide, but you can supplement with a nitric oxide booster as well. Um, and then so if you think about libido is, if your health is a problem, you got to work on that. What's
Mm.
broken? How do you need to fix it? You need mitochondrial function. You need ATP. You need energy to want sex. And then desire is, how do you feel about yourself? If you're shit talking yourself, that's not helping, right? If you're depressed, you have anxiety, this is all a barrier, an obstacle to wanting intimacy. And then the piece that layers on top of libido, desire, and arousal is variety and novelty, interest,
Mm.
something fun. I mean, if you're doing the same old, like, okay, this is our way we have sex, and you just do that over and over again, it's boring. You're bored to death. And I know there are a lot of people who are like, my partner will only have sex in this one certain way, which is everything that we deal with in the realm of sexuality. Almost all of the problems come from fear. And the
Mm.
fear comes from lack of knowledge. We have been censored, suppressed, slut shamed, sexually abused, not given any information. We don't know the names of our parts. We don't understand how to test for STIs. We don't understand consent. We don't have these skills, the kissing, the touching, the fucking, the sucking. No one told us what to do. We can make babies. We got a lot of 5-month-old running around here, but we do not have a lot of people begging their partner for hot sex because it's so freaking good. They're putting it on the calendar. Now, that is what myself and thousands of sexologists around the world are striving to accomplish, is to close that information gap so that people aren't afraid, they're empowered. But the forces, they are really going against us with the rise of Christian nationalism, and all of the repression and the censorshiping and the shadow banning and taking the books out of school, all the stuff that's going on. We're not going in the right direction.
Mm.
So fear, getting rid of
Do,
fear by learning.
do you think do you do you think we're going backwards, or do you think we're going sideways? Because if you've been in the game for a long time, I think
Mm.
on a top level, society would think we're going forwards, but are we going forward with the right way? The OnlyFans, the Bonnie Blues of the world, people might look at that and think there's a new form of liberation, but are we going sideways instead of forwards?
It's really interesting. The OnlyFans question is an interesting one because there's definitely a desire for the penis owning heterosexual. So, I can say men and women, sometimes I just like to say things like penis owning heterosexual, Homo sapien, testosterone dominant monkey
Mix it
man.
up a bit. Novelty. Novelty.
Exactly. He likes to look at a naked body. You guys love your boobies.
Mm,
I mean, everybody loves boobies in all honesty. Everybody likes to look at boobies. But um, there is something for generally that women are not as hungry to see the
mm,
male form in its nudity. And I love the male form, actually. I love penises. I love to see male bodies. I love biceps. I love pecs. I love gorgeous men. I love
mm.
strength. I love all of that. I'm happy to see men and their bodies nude. But I've seen a lot of them, and that's nice. I'm lucky that way. I think generally the percentage of women walking around lusting after nudes of men is, 1/10 of 1%, where it's 95% of the men who are walking around are lusting after looking at
Mm,
vulvas and breasts and hips and butts and, all of the things that you got, all our squishy parts you guys love to touch so much. So there is definitely something between the male and female brain that
mm,
is beyond culture. It is nature.
mm.
And it's been likened, the reason that has been described as fecundity, the ability to have offspring looking, like you're fertile. That fertile look that's very popular. But I think it's more than that, because I think when you look at a 60-year-old woman, a 70-year-old woman, an 80-year-old woman, she's beautiful too. It's not necessarily just the fertility aspect of things.
Yeah.
Women are very beautiful to look at. People are very beautiful to look at, I think.
Mm,
So, OnlyFans is, to me, yes, it's about sexuality, of course, like the haptics and teledildonics of the cam stars using these devices that the guys can control, or they've got their fleshlights and they're feeling what her vagina feels like. I mean,
mm.
all of that I think is really fun and playful and fascinating. And it's fun to watch women who are really into the pleasure that they create from their bodies, creating experiences for their partners. And some women like it, but it's definitely the our the kind of the the place where you'll find primarily men seeking primarily women, and gays. The gays, they do a great job with that
Mm.
too. I mean, OnlyFans gays channels are wonderful. Those guys are so cute. So I think it's just another aspect of sexuality. I don't think it's a a mimetic of sexuality. I think it's part of the spectrum of
Mm.
sexuality, and a good darn healthy part of it. My area of expertise is what I would typify as heart connected, conscious, passionate love making. I've written thousands of techniques and communication skills over the last 2 decades. What I like to teach people how to do is transform having sex, which is kind of the procreative tab A into slot B, pump away, ejaculate, you're done, that's sex. That's the religious, repressed version of sexuality, which is you're here to make babies to expand the cult. And I know that some people will be annoyed at me typifying it this way. Of course, these are my opinions, and you don't have to agree with me, and I'm fine with that. This is you're having me on for my opinions and my knowledge, right? And how I look at things, and I understand that that's not going to appeal to all people when I say those things, and I'm cool with that. But what I think is interesting is this heart connected is bringing your presence, which means releasing your shame, the shame that's been instilled in us through our culture. When you're really there and you're truly present, and you're truly present to your appetite and to your connection with your partner, and you're open to trying new things, that's a very nice part of it. The consciousness is that not hiding from sex, not turning off the lights, not being ashamed of your genitals, being willing to try and fail, being open to new things, really being completely honest together. And then the passionate is I want the kind of sex I like, which is what I teach, is super hot and sexy. Sometimes that looks very ecstatic bliss like. Lots of moaning, lots of coming, deep kissing. Sometimes that looks very slutty and stripper shoes and lingerie and really outrageous sex positions and, doing crazy shit. All that is good and fun, and I love all of that. And the lovemaking part is soul connection.
Mm.
It's that you are almost, it could bring tears to your eyes, that you feel the level of love for your partner that you feel when you're that abandoned to your bliss and intimacy together. I really, really like that part of what, and that's why I call it love making. And it turns out that each component of what I just described is a series of learned skills and practice. Good sexuality, becoming a better lover, is it's practice. It's building up a repertoire of skills. It's mastery. It's life mastery. It's a lifelong pursuit of becoming more orgasmic, more heart connected. Your heart is a muscle and a door. Another mentor of mine, Dr. Deborah Anapol, I stand on the shoulders of giants. Dr. Deborah Anapol wrote a book. She's since passed. We've lost some good people recently. She wrote a book called The 7 Natural Laws of Love. And when men say to me, I feel so disconnected, I don't feel loved, I'm rejected by people, by women, I'm struggling. And it's more women than men because women are pursued more than men are, but they feel just as lost. But I say to the men, start loving. When you begin to love your waitress, love your cashier, love your Uber driver, love the bagger at the grocery store, love everybody you come in contact with, leave love everywhere, exercise the muscle, and you will start being in love. You'll begin to love, and it generates oxytocin, which is a fantastic anti-aging molecule. And when you practice and your heart muscle gets that workout of loving, pretty soon you're attracting love because there is a guy who knows how to love. That's what we want. We want that. I remember one time I'll stop after this quick story, but I was in Ibiza with my daughter and my husband, and we were at a rave and she had to go to the bathroom. So I walked back with her to the bathrooms and I was sitting there waiting for her to come out. And this guy who was definitely tripping balls, he found out what I was doing, what I did for a living. And he's like, how come it feels so empty? How come sex feels so empty to me? And I said, because you haven't connected your heart to your penis. You're using your penis like a tool or a ramrod or a piston or something. You're disconnected. And that's when I created something I call the heart tongue method as part of my orgasmic intercourse series. You can go to orgasmicintercourse.com. I have it all there. It's free. I link to all of my articles on all of my different orgasmic intercourse techniques. And it's basically, think about your penis not as this thing that goes in and out of a vagina, but instead think about it like this very articulate tongue and start to lick inside her vagina with your penis, like you're sliding it all around, top, bottom, sides, deep in, just the entrance, slow and shallow, deep and slow. Take your time and make her feel your heart inside her vagina. And she will know right away when you're doing that. And I think that is very helpful for men, especially because I've got this hunch. I made it up, but the vagus nerve connects directly down into the female genital reproductive organs, but it stops a little before it connects into the penis, prostate, testicle junction. And I wonder if it's a little harder for the male to make that connection. He's got to like jump the synapse mentally through visualization to get that connection going. But the Taoists teach this all the time. They teach heartgasm as one of their, lasting mechanisms.
There's a lot in that. So I'm just
What the heck was your question?
I can't even remember. Don't worry about it.
Me neither, man.
Don't worry about it. I want to go back to something. There's a lot in that, but I want to go back to something you said earlier. Okay. And that is around the societal, and I think most people kind of know this, but I wonder if people really know the level of shame, judgment, suppression that they have around sex, but also those that are suppressed, but also those that are fully expressed. And the reason I say that is I love this. Like, this is my sweet spot. I love talking about this. And I would consider myself, in terms of my closest friends, around very open-minded people. And I can count on less than two hands how many people are very open and fully expressed when it comes to sexuality. So I would say not only is there a group of people, a large portion of society that has shame around sex, but at the other end of the scale, I feel like there's a lot of people that have shame around them being the fully expressed one who, like if I'm my partner sometimes like, I don't know if this is the right environment for you to talk about that. But I'm like, yep, you're right. But I find myself sometimes almost a little bit either lonely or carrying my own shame because I love talking about this stuff and I'm so interested in it. And then I'm at a table with a bunch of people that love meat and free veg and aren't interested in talking about it at all. So do you find that? I mean, I'm sure you don't have that problem, but is there people at the other end of the scale who also experience shame because they want to fully express themselves and they're in a society that isn't comfortable with that?
I just don't. I never get rid of friends. I always have them. If you're my friend for life. But I don't tend to hang out with people that I have to filter myself in any way around. If my presence is going to trigger you, I don't want to be in your presence.
Yeah.
That's just my choice is to, I remember when my daughter was in grade school and maybe she started high school. I don't remember when it was. And she said, my God, Mom, it's like these cliques are crazy. And I don't want to be stuck in a clique because, there's maybe only like one person in the clique that I really, really like. What do I do? And I said, you draw the people out of the cliques that you like. You're friends with all the cliques, but your core is your core. And those are your people. You find your people, you surround yourself with your people. And so over the years, I have just been less and less interested in spending any time at all with anybody who I have to spend a second worrying that I'm going to say something wrong. Like, it's just not worth it to me. I think there are a lot of people who are really living out a prescribed life, and that makes them feel belonging. But my advice to my daughter, I think, is good advice, which is create your own belonging with your own group of weirdos. Find your weirdos. And this is another component of boundaries. Boundaries is an interesting word because it sounds like, I don't like it, but I love what it means. Boundary sounds like I'm setting up this fence between, like this is how far I'm willing to go, but no further type of thing. I will allow to this. And the thing is that what boundaries really are, and they need a better name. If you can come up with it, I am open to this. I'm looking for a better name for it. And that is, boundaries are you know exactly what I need for you to truly love me and make me feel safe, secure, happy, etc. And security is very big for me personally. It's my number one relationship value. If someone puts me at risk in any way or does not make me feel safe, they will never see me again. Like, I just don't like people who are do risky behavior. This is why I'm a chief advocacy officer of an STI testing company. Like, I don't like risky behaviors of any kind. So the boundaries are the thing that your people who love you need to know to make you feel safe and ecstatically happy and really cared for in the way that you need to be cared for. And if they keep breaching your boundaries, they don't love you. They're trying to get you to be what they want you to be, and you are who you are, and that's not a person for you. So it's interesting to notice that when you establish, I always say what your boundaries are. Give people the road map to your happiness. Tell them what it is you need. Empower them. They can't guess. They don't have your values. They don't have your experiences and your need states. We're all so different. One of the books that I wrote, it's probably one of my more popular books. I've written 34 books and programs. And it's called Relationship Magic. It's at myrelationshipmagic.com. You can buy it on Amazon, but that's the full price. I have a discount link at myrelationshipmagic.com. You just get the PDF instead of the printed version, which is fine because it's a workbook. You want it printed out anyway. And what it does is it helps you and your partner very clearly describe your top 4 relationship values. What are you in the relationship with your wife for? And what is she in the relationship with you for? And they're going to be very different. First of all, you're a man, she's a woman. That makes us naturally very different. You have different backgrounds and upbringings and need states and, everything. And it really helps when you can get super specific with your partner about what the top 4 things are that you're looking for from them and how they can specifically provide them. So for my husband, when my number 1 is security, it means we always have money in the bank. Our cars are always in good repair. We have a burglar alarm. We always have health care. We pay our bills on time. I have a safe word with him. So if in case we're out and somebody is a little too, rambunctious, I say my safe word and he just gets me out of there, whatever it might be. And I've had to use it 2 times. I mean, it's, but I need it. I need to have that. I did not grow up in a very safe, I didn't have a safe childhood. And so the reason when my husband was a little boy, they jokingly teased him and called him super safe because he was always checking things and making sure things were okay. Like, that's who I married because that's how important security and safety is to me. But his is passion, number 1. He doesn't have to worry about security. He's a dude. He walks safe in the world. He's never been harmed. But passion. And what does it mean for him? It means he loves me to wear lingerie. He loves me to take a shower and dry off in front, towel my wet body off in front of him. He loves it when I wake up in the morning and before I get dressed, I take off my nightie and I come sit in his lap naked. He loves it when I'm lying in bed and he can just lie down and I pet him. He loves kinesthetic touch. He loves to be petted like a puppy. He just loves that. He likes me to be really slutty. And I am sometimes slutty and I'm sometimes not. And when I am in the mood to be slutty, I do it because he likes that. I could not be too slutty for that sucker. I mean, he just eats it up. It's just the way he is. He's a dirty dog.
God bless that
and
man.
I love that about him, right? I mean, he's brought that out in me. Last thing he bought me was not a piece of jewelry. It was a red plaid Catholic schoolgirl outfit with a little white, little top that tied that my boobs are basically falling out of, and white thigh-high stockings and little black stripper shoes. Am I going to wear that? Oh, hell yeah, I'm going to wear that for him. That's what he loves. That's his number 1 relationship value. That's as important to him as me having health insurance.
They're different. They're slightly different, but they're both important.
important. And that's his number one. So I'm doing it.
Oh, I love that already. It's got me thinking. We've got a road trip after this. I might even dive straight into that with my partner and work out our top
Great.
4.
Yeah, good.
Threesomes. So talk me
Yes, love
through.
them. I've done 1,000.
I know you have.
Yeah.
Talk me through what you needed to learn about threesomes between the first one that you had and the thousands, because
Yeah.
it can go horribly wrong, and it's sometimes not as smooth as people think it is if they haven't explored it. So there are a few elements that make up a good one. But for you, between number 1 and number 1,000, what have been the kind of key lessons and learnings?
A couple things. The first is that even with one lover, even with one person, just as a duo, it really takes between 40 and 60 lovemaking dates to to start to get good together. And it takes about 4 or 5 years of consistent sex to start really going strong. So, what most people get wrong about threesomes is that they think they're going to just have this one experience. And that's because most people are having unconscious sex and they don't even really want to get to know the person. It's same as the don't ask, don't tell, or cheating instead of poly or open relationships or whatever it might be. That's just all rooted in shame. So, you're allowed to do this, but you can't do that, like all that stuff. That's just fear. All those things are fear. And the fears go away as you begin to have threesomes more frequently. The second thing is to have an agreement that your job in the threesome is to let the other two people know if you're getting spun out or feeling excluded or feeling lost or not included or what have you. Say it. We're counting on you to tell us if everything is not okay. If we don't hear, if the baby ain't crying, the baby's good. We can't relax if we're going to find out afterward that you were having a horrible time. We don't need that to bite us in the ass. Like, say it. Like, be mature enough to be a good sex partner and make sure we know if there's any problems. The other thing that happens most often is that somebody breaks a boundary. Like, I told you weren't allowed to go inside her and you went inside her, like that kind of stuff. And I think it's really good to examine all of the possible things and be very clear with all 3 parties what's in and out, what's on the table and what's off the table. So there's no mistakes. And that there can be negotiations about that. The other thing that I think is also really important with threesomes is to begin to connect your hearts and your energy during the lovemaking, where you're feeling like, let's just say I'm having a threesome with you and your wife. What's your wife's name?
Shani.
What is it?
Shani.
Shani. That's such a cute name. Okay.
Yeah.
So Blake, Susan, and Shani are having a threesome. That's a typical thing where I would be the unicorn. It's not for me. I have more sex with 2 men. That I prefer that. But because I love to be the center of attention, girl, do me up. So, and I'm a little sexy pig, and I do not mind. So, and I like to say those things because I want to empower women to feel like they can have that
excellent.
too.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's hot when 2 guys do a woman. It's really, really hot. When those bros are, giving her everything she wants, it's so nice. And it's not gay at all. Like, tons of heterosexual men double team to give a woman incredible pleasure. So I just really want to put a bid in that it's not always just 2 women and men, but you and Shani and I are going to have a threesome. well, I want to make sure that I'm connecting my heart to Shawnee. I'm connecting my heart to you. You're both connecting your heart to me and to each other. And I want to be able to ultimately, after 3 or 4 threesomes with you guys, I should be able to feel you feeling Shawnee. I should be able to feel Shawnee. You should be able to feel me through Shawnee. You want to create an electric current of connection. You don't want it to be three sovereign entities, or the two guys aren't like connected, or the two women aren't connected. You don't want to do that. The other thing that's probably also a really good thing to think about is that there's kind of some turn taking with stimulation, where somebody's going to get the bulk of attention, you know, at first, and then it's going to go to the other person, and then it's going to go to the other. It's really hard to give everybody everything all at once. It's like a turn taking thing, and there's usually somebody who's really good at thinking up all the dirty ideas, and you want to support that person. Like, well, what do you think we should do now? Like, that would be my husband. Oh my god, like if we can't think of something to do, we'll be like, Tim, give us some ideas, and he'll be like, oh, okay, and then he'll come out with like 22 really fabulous ideas. He's just like a sexy idea generator. He's so much fun. And so, you know, somebody's good at that in the group. And so you think about it and go like, oh, no, not that. No, no. Oh, that sounds good. Yeah, I do that. And then you do that. So what you're doing is you're forming and reforming, forming and reforming, forming and reforming. It's kind of like working out in the gym where, you know, first you're doing these weights, then you're doing these weights, then you're doing some suicide ropes, then you're doing some farmer carries, then you're doing, you know, it's the same thing. It's like a workout. And so trying all those things and being really conscious, awake, and aware so that you are realizing what you're doing is you're making memories. And to make noise, I'll leave it at the end with make noise, moan, scream, orgasms, laugh, take breaks, drink water, eat some grapes, feed some strawberries, change the music, do a little dancing, smoke some weed, you know, whatever you're going to do. Have some fucking fun. It doesn't all have to be like, I've got this, I'm going to do this excellent threesome, I've got, like, no, dude. Just take a breath, have some fun. Get hard, go soft, get hard, go soft, get hard, go soft. It's all good, you know? It's just, it should be joyful, pleasurable, entertaining, fun.
I think what you said at the end really stands out to me with the conscious, awake, and aware.
Yeah.
Having made a number of mistakes in those dynamics in my earlier days, a lot, the lack of awareness and the lack of consciousness would often mean that someone felt excluded, to the point where I actually had to chase someone down the street to come back in to the house because for that reason, just complete. And I just got caught up in the moment and lacked the awareness and the attunement to your point. So that's why I really wanted to talk on it, because it sounds fun, the idea, but if you don't have, you know, as you've just spoken to, if you don't have the key ingredients to it, it can actually end up being a shit show. So you spoke to it really nicely.
Good.
How would you describe, I don't know if you like labels or not, but how would you describe the relationship status of you and your husband and your lover, etc.? Like, what's your relationship status?
I would consider, I've been married for 34 years, well, 32, and with Tim for 34. We have a beautiful daughter. I told you my daughter's in Coffs Harbor, getting her PhD, mom brag, incoming mom brag. And she knows we're open. We've been open since she was 6, and she's 28. So we have been open for longer. We've been together longer than we've been apart. We've been open longer than we haven't. And I would consider that we are basically what Americans would call kitchen table poly. We're polyamorous and we're invested in each other's lives. And our current configuration is my husband and I and a boyfriend, my boyfriend, Carl. And we also have a pretty new girlfriend named Christine. And we're currently in a polyamorous quad. But over the years, we've been in many, many configurations. Tim and I are a stable base and people come in and out of our lives. But I've been dating Carl going on 5 years. And I mean, like literally, he texted you know how I went to see my mom before I came to see you today, or before we did the show today? He literally texted my mom today. My boyfriend texted my mom. You know, it's just like, we all do things together. We do things separately. Like Christine and Tim are going off. Tim is going on this mastermind cruise, and I don't like desiccated food and cruises. So Christine's going with him, and they're going away for a week. I recently went down to Mexico for some long haul COVID treatments. Carl came with me, and he surfed Punta Mita while I did my treatments. We're like four people who are currently involved in completely taking care of and loving each other and being together like a big, loving, sexy family. Sometimes we have foursomes, threesomes, whatever, parallel play. I mean, it's like, what are we doing today? We'll find out. Like, what needs to get done? How are we doing? Who's on first? Doesn't matter.
I think one of the things, and I'm sure you see this daily almost, is the fear that comes without the understanding, the fear or the judgment that comes without the understanding. So,
Yeah.
Looking at open relating, poly, however you want to categorize it, it would be easy to have a vision of what you think it is, but it often is different. And one of the things that I found most impressive in the world of sexuality is the level of communication and the boundaries and the consent is well beyond normal relating. So for you guys in your poly quad at this stage, what to give people insight into what happens behind the scenes, what are the boundaries or the rules or the consent that you guys have? Because there are so many. I was at a course at the start of the year called ISTA. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so I did level 1 ISTA. And naturally that type of environment attracts a lot of kind of people in poly. And I had a bit of an idea of what poly looked like, but the amount of different arrangements, I was like, fuck, I've never even thought of that. So what's the arrangement that you guys have, just to kind of give people insight into the world of poly open in terms of arrangements, expectations, agreements, etc.?
Yeah, there's two things I'd like to say. One is that I have no interest in convincing anyone to be in any aspect of consensual non-monogamy. And I think that generally the large majority, like 95% of people, should be in monogamous relationships. And I love monogamy, and my business supports monogamous people. I am a mass market, passionate, love-making sex educator who is dealing primarily with monogamous people. And that's fantastic. And so I'm not here proselytizing or recommending. I'm actually recommending you don't do it, because it's a lot. You have to have done a lot of work. You have to be really high level communicators. You go through shit. It's painful. It's not easy. There have been some super tough times in my marriage because of it. So that's the first thing, is that I'm not here to convince anybody to be poly. The second thing, and I'll leave it with this, is that there's a new term, and I'm not sure who coined it. I think it might be Annie Love, but I'm not 100% sure. It might be Roy Graff. I don't know. But I should find out, because me, I like to acknowledge who thinks shit up,
Totally.
right? Like, I've dropped quite a few PhDs in this conversation. And there's a term called relationship anarchy. And as I understand it, so if you think about the tree of ethical or consensual non-monogamy, it's going to have swingers, open, lifestyle, poly, and this thing called relationship anarchy. And relationship anarchy is basically just every single person in your group, whatever that dynamic is, they're different. It goes back to the relationship values, relationship magic workbook, which is, what are you in the relationship for? What do you want from this relationship? Because it's going to be different than what they want and they want and they want. We all want different things in a relationship. And so the more that you understand why you're in that group, the group can give you what you need. And that's what anarchy is. It's like, there's no rules. It's not kitchen table poly. It's not swinger. It's not this thing or that thing. It is what these individual humans need at this time until further notice. And then it might change, and that's okay too. And then the last thing is that I have a document that is our fluid bonded poly agreement, which is our STI safe sex testing schedule because of the incubation periods of some STIs. Um, if someone new joins our group, they have to wait a month and have no sex with anybody until they take their test. And then we all collectively test another 2 months later because of the incubation periods of some of these STIs. So the most important thing to us is not getting long-term, like herpes. And I have herpes, and I had a terrible herpetic neuropathy backache for 7 weeks. I was trying to lift my body weight by my 64th birthday, and I didn't make it because my back hurt so bad I couldn't do the lifting. Like I got that herpes from my boyfriend Jim, who cheated on me when I was 20 years old, and he fucked Candy and didn't tell me and gave me herpes. And I've had a life of cold sores and neuropathies and shingles, and it exacerbates potential for Alzheimer's. That's just herpes. There's over 20 STIs. And so for us, one of the things we feel like we can navigate heartbreak, we can navigate misunderstandings, but you can't fucking out navigate STIs. And there's a big mycoplasma genitalium breakout going around in parts of our country right now. Like, if you're not aware of these things and you don't know what the incubation periods are, you can be like, yeah, I get tested regularly. And it's like, yeah, I know, but you're carrying like 3 different things and I don't want to get any of them. So that is where we have a very hard boundary.
I'm mindful of time, and
Me too.
I am extremely grateful for this chat. As I said, when my partner and I first came across your work, like, I just love energy, and I don't really think you can kind of fake energy on a deep level. And I was like, all right, I've got to get her on. I love what you are about, and as someone who's really invested in relationships and my relationship and wanting to see it constantly evolve and grow. As you said, I get the opportunity to stand on the shoulders of giants, and I see you through that light, and
Thank you.
Yeah, even today, within 3 or 4 minutes, I've learned something new for myself and for my relationship. So I want to thank you for coming on and being so open and such a light in, what is unfortunately a very dark area still somehow, and continuing to push against many forces that are wanting to keep it that way. But I appreciate the challenge that you're up for and the insights that you continue to bring.
Thank you for giving me a platform to be my true and honest self and loving me for it. And I really look forward to coming to see you in Byron Bay in probably late November, early December. I'm going to let you know when I'm coming through, and I'd love to see your new daughter and bounce her on my knee and give you guys a hug and take a visit. That would be super fun. And thank you for reaching out to me. I mean, I really thank Stephen at Diary of a CEO for giving me the platform that so many other people were like, oh, that girl's interesting. I'll have her on my show. And I want to also thank podcasting for giving us so far to date an uncensored medium for the real talk that changes lives, because that's what you're doing. And I know it's a lot of work to produce a show. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. And just before we wrap things up, I know you've got a whole bunch of links and books, etc., but where's the best spot for people to kind of dive into all your work?
Yeah, the nexus is at betterlover.com. I really think my newsletter is the best thing I do. And at betterlover.com, you can sign up for my newsletter. It's 2 days a week, and there's sex tips and things I love in every newsletter. And that's kind of a Rosetta Stone into the rest of my work. I also mentioned myrelationshipmagic.com, which I'll send you. You don't buy it. I'll send it to you, darling. And orgasmicintercourse.com, because I think people they're basically fucking like you make a baby, not fucking like you make love. And I think that is hugely helpful to learn some new techniques for really good intercourse. Like that's some serious leverage in a sex life and a healthy sex life. So that's a good one too. So that's where I am. I know I'm on Instagram as well. My name, Susan Bratton, all smushed together.
You're also an absolute wizard when it comes to sex toys, of which I've been very interested in what you've had to say. So I need to expand the toolkit. So I'm sure all that could be found through different links in your website.
I keep all my current favorites up to date at all times because I am really involved in sex tech, especially for couples. There's a really good one called the Luxus, and it's at drivedesire.com. I highly recommend that toy for orgasmic intercourse.
We can get in Australia on Shin.
I think you can. Yeah. Beautiful. And if you can't, I'll bring you one. Just if you can't get it, let me know.
All right.
I'll put one in my suitcase for you.
Oh, you just keep getting better and better. Thanks again for today.
Good. My pleasure. Thanks, Blake. Have a great day. And thank you so much for having me.